yes. And then it really doesn't matter. You can even start the session now.
Yeah,
Anyway, it does great. And then so let's just and we're recording. Great. Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'll be coming back.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Cindy.
We're waiting for a few more people.
Cindy, I'm going to go ahead and make you co-host because I assume you're going to be sharing documents, correct?
Yeah, Sarah will be, so yeah.
Okay. Okay, and Sarah, I'll make you a co-host as well.
Yay.
So we should have all that covered.
Give folks one more minute. So Mike, are you in San Francisco?
No, it's my background.
I can never do backgrounds. That's okay.
I did it one time. Now I'm trying to figure out here. I just background. Here, it's my office.
Oh yeah. The San Francisco, the bridge is much sexier.
Right?
Yeah.
Stacks of paper aren't that big.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, Sarah, Melissa, Dylan, are you going to show us your faces? Hopefully.
Dylan is assisting the board for a few
Okay.
moments, and so he will jump back on probably later.
Okay. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, I'm gonna turn my camera off for a minute because I'm going to be finishing my lunch and then I will turn it back on when I'm done.
Great. Okay. Let's just go around real quickly. I'm Cindy with Clackamas County. Martin?
Yeah, this is Martin. I'm with Classic Business Printing with my wife, Cindy, here.
Hi.
And then I'm Melissa. I own a business here, Empire Painting in the neighborhood.
Great. Hi.
Hi.
Jill, you said you have my name on there. I don't know why, but it does, but that's okay. Let's see. Dill's not here. Sarah is here, but has her camera off. Do you want to just introduce yourself, Sarah?
Yes, hi, I am Sarah Schindelbeck, now Martin, as I just got married. I am a person in long-term recovery and I grew up in Oregon City and in Clackamas County, and now I run a recovery organization in the county as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Sarah, Vaz, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, I'm never the only Sarah in the room. Hi, I'm Sarah Vaz. I am an architect and I am the project designer for this one. I work for Holst Architecture and yeah, we'll be showing you the building today.
Great, thank you. Mike Sabiba.
I apologize. The traffic guide meetings on the west side, the traffic gods were not smiling on me. I apologize for my tardiness.
No problem. Jill, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I think I met most of you last time at this meeting. I'm Jill Sherman. My company is called Edlin & Co. We're a developer that's helping Fora Health on putting together the project design and financing, etc.
Great, thank you. Jennifer? You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Should be on the
Okay,
balcony.
sorry. I'm a parent of adult that lives at We Built down the road from the property.
Great, thank you. And Kimberly?
Thank you. Kimberly DeSantis, Policy Advisor for the Board of Commissioners.
So thanks everyone for coming. Were any of you able to go to the tour of Cherry Blossom? Mike, anybody else? Mike, and Jennifer. So I just wanted to just take a little time and ask your impressions, what you thought, comments. Jennifer?
Yeah, I was super impressed. I thought the facility was very clean and everybody was very respectful, and any concerns I had, I got a response that I thought was completely appropriate.
Great to hear. Mike?
Which Mike? I'm sorry.
Oh, Mike C.
I thought they did a nice job with the design. I was pleased with the way that the people flowed through the space, that there were classes that were going on, there were other things that were happening, and they were done in such a way so that as they had visitors, that we did not disrupt what was going on in any way. I appreciate the cleanliness, the organization, and I asked if we could take a side tour into the kitchen, because I have had the opportunity to visit the jail. Visit is the key word here. Visit the jail, and seen the food that's served there. And so I was curious how the food service would be in this structure. And I was impressed with the people were taking portions. The food looked good. People were serving the food, were smiling. And I think those are important. Those are intangible things, but they're important. They were important to me. So I was appreciative we got to spend time to see the structure and spend time with the people that work there and to have an extended conversation with them. That was so helpful.
Great, thank you. Mike S.
Yeah, it was great getting to know everybody there and the work they put in. One of the things that I'd be curious to find out, and it sounds like Sarah's going to speak to that, is how the design is going to be different than over there. Their situation is a little bit different, being surrounded by different businesses than us, different footprint. I'd be interested in lessons learned from that design and how it's going to be different. And I did not get to introduce myself in the beginning. I'm Mike Sharian, and I represent St. Kevork Church. That's in the area there, right across the development there. So, for our purposes, especially, I'd like to understand how the new design and the flow of people, where that's going to go through and what type of input we can have. And I believe there are different plans for the area. It's not just going to be the recovery center. I believe there's plans further past that for the lot is a lot bigger than what the recovery center is going to be used. So I'd be interested in finding out more about that.
Great, thanks. And I apologize for not calling on you to introduce yourself.
I know why you did it, because I'm famous and everybody knows me. And last time I was signing autographs, so you're like, we'll skip him.
That's right, you're that guy. Yeah, great, thank you. So I'm really pleased that some of you were able to go. I went on a tour with the commissioners last week. And so it was very interesting. They were very jazzed about it. And so Holst we're using the same architect for our project as they use for Cherry Blossoms. So Sarah and Jill, we've got some great continuity there. And just for context, the Cherry Blossoms is about twice the size of our program. So that just kind of get about twice as many beds as we have. So in just terms of space, that's what we're looking at. And Sarah's going to talk a little bit about information, about general information about the state. Just so you know, we are having on July 29th, we're having a policy session with the board. We're going to go into a lot more detail about the space itself, about the exterior space. And then we're also, it's going to be at 1:30 on July 29th. And we're also going to have a discussion about that vacant space. So the board is anxious to start having those conversations. There's been no commitment to it at all at this point. Yes, Mike.
Is it open to public? Can we join or is that private?
You can certainly listen in, but it's for staff and the board to have a conversation.
And how do we listen in?
If you go to the county's website, and you can go to the way I do it, and Kimberly, there's probably an easier way. I go to departments, then I hit on Board of Commissioners, and then I go down, scroll down to policy sessions, and it gives a date. And you can click on it, and you can watch it. You can click on the YouTube, so you can watch it live on YouTube. Did I say it right, Kimberly?
Is there a way to maybe click that or put that link in the chat box?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes. What we'll do, if you could put it, just send it to me, Kimberly, and I'll send it out to everybody in email.
Cindy, could I ask you to just take a moment to describe the different types of county commissioner meetings and why some meetings are different than others, and why citizens can participate in some and they can't participate in others, and ways you can participate either by writing letters or in person or however we would want to.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, it's not it's not for the faint-hearted to figure out which meetings are when. So the regular meetings, I'll just talk about the regular meetings. There are 3 types of regular meetings. The issues meeting are typically for quick discussion of things, also their staff presenting to the board. All that has to get approved by the county administrator. If there's a new contract that the board has never seen, there'll be a quick conversation about what that contract is. But it's not supposed to be in-depth conversations. Some of them end up being longer than anticipated, but that's because the board wants to talk about an issue, and that's between staff. And then there are what's called policy sessions. And policy sessions are for more in-depth conversation about specific topics. They could be about a complicated contract. It could be about a project that is underway. It could be about a legislative action taken. So it's a much more in-depth conversation, and it's again between staff and the board. Now, both of the issues and policy sessions happen on Tuesdays. Anybody can listen to them, and when we send you the link, you can listen to any of the issues or policy. Now, the 3rd regular meeting is the business meeting, the board's business meeting, and those happen on Thursdays, typically at 10 o'clock. And there's a section in each business meeting that is called the public part of it. So anyone in the public can come up and comment, not just on what's on that agenda that day, but they can come and comment on anything they want to. They can comment on the policy sessions if they want to. They aren't issues or whatever they want. So you have 3 minutes to chat. And so it used to happen at the end of the meeting, and now that public section part is happening at the beginning of the meeting. People can also call or send emails to any commissioner at any time, or they could just send it to the county's, the board's, what is it? Is it a board email, Kimberly? Yeah. And if you can send that to me, I'll just make sure that goes out to everybody. So again, the only time for the public voice, if you will, I mean, literal voice, is at the business meetings on Thursdays, but you can write or call or make emails anytime you want to any commissioner, all of them or one of them. Does that help? Do you want me to, should I put this in writing when I send this out? Just so people, yeah, Mike, okay. Well, Mike S. Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out, trust me. And I know that some of the public are not happy about not being able to say anything during policy or issues, but I think that's pretty standard in other jurisdictions. Anyway, so
Cindy,
any other
Cindy, if I
comments?
can add one more thing. You did a great job. Thank you. You've made it much more clear to me. So I'm very grateful for that. But what Cindy also said was you can contact any county commissioner at any time on any topic.
Mhm.
And so don't rely on just the BCC business meeting to provide input. Take advantage, you're paying their salaries, take advantage of having a conversation with them, write them a letter, schedule them so you can get on the calendar for a cup of coffee or something.
Yes.
It's helpful.
Absolutely. And there are other meetings, but they're planning meetings or contract meetings. They're required by statute or county code. Those don't happen every week. So again, you can always look on the county's website to see what types of meetings are happening when. Also the board meeting has once a month, it's held in the evening. So that helps other folks as well. Okay, I'll put this all in writing. It's confusing, but as Mike C said, you can contact anybody anytime, including me. So, all right. What I want to talk about, actually, I'm gonna switch the agenda a little bit. I would like to talk about SWAT team exercises. So we were approached by the sheriff's office asking if they could use the Clackamas Elementary School building while it's still standing for SWAT exercises. And so I said, well, a couple of things. One, you can't have lights and sirens. Two, you can't blow things up. Three, you can't have bullets that make a lot of noise. And four, I have to talk to the Good Neighbor Group. So they came out last week and we went into the building and they don't use guns. They're kind of this plastic automatic thing that gets shot. And they had me stand outside the building to see if I could hear it. It shoots plastic little caps. It sounds actually, it's more quiet than a BB gun. So they had me stand outside the building to see if I could hear them. And all I heard was this faint like click. So I didn't really hear anything. And so I said, I'm okay with it if you don't have lights and sirens, if you don't blow anything up and no bullets. But I want to talk to you. I did also talk to Anne at We Build, and she was okay with it. Again, and they're going to be coming off of either 82nd or Highway 205, and they're going to come up, I think 92nd, and they're going to park there. Some of them are police cars, some of them are unmarked cars, but again, no lights and sirens. So I just wanted to hear from you whether or not anybody had a concern or issue. I volunteered to be a kidnap victim if they wanted someone to role play, but anyway. Mike C, yes.
I think, thank you for being a participant in it, and thank you for being observant to the sound. If advance notice would be nice. We don't need to, I think just advance notice that it could happen on this day or that day between this time and that time, because their schedules may cause it to need to be shifted from whatever they tell us, but providing information in advance so that if something's going on and Mike S gets a phone call from one of his members of his congregation going, hey, our building's being surrounded, what's happening? My guess will have an answer. The same thing for the nearby neighbors.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they won't park. I don't think they park on the street. They're going to be parking in I don't know if you've all seen the gate, but there's an opening in the gate and there's a little parking lot there. That's where they park.
I'm for any training that they can use that school for future use. It's a really good program for them to do that. So I'm right across the street, so I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, great. Other
I'm
comments?
thrilled. I'll just say I'm just not thrilled. I think the police cars are going to upset some of our kids. I think if these guys are in, gear that looks aggressive is going to be upsetting to our kids. I'm not thrilled with the decision personally.
For the short time they're doing it, I think the benefit outweighs anything. For future schools, I mean, this is something that's happening around the country. It's going to happen eventually in our community. I'd like them to be trained and prepared.
No, it's not
Thank
what
you.
we signed up for.
Other comments? What am I here?
Cindy, is this gonna be weekdays or weekends?
Pretty sure it's weekdays.
Okay. Yeah, if it's on a Sunday, it would be really awkward, but yeah, if it's weekdays, then good.
So it sounds like folks are okay, except I know Jennifer. So one of the options would be, Jennifer, let's try it once and see what happens. And if there's, concern or upset, we'll, say, that's it, we're done. Are folks okay with that? Okay. Thank you all very much. And if anyone wants to role play, let me know. So, all right. The next topic and more important topic is having a conversation about the building footprint. And we're also in that conversation, I want to, when Sarah's done going through her slides and conversation, I want to talk about the open space planning, because there is going to be about an acre of open space that will be right along Tolbert that I want to talk to you all about. How do we develop that together? So Sarah, I'm going to turn it to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Cindy. Let me figure out how to share my screen. Okay, everybody can see that? Thumbs up. Maybe. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay, so today, I guess we wanted to start with the project schedule. Do you want to give that intro, Cindy? You want me to run through it? It's pretty
Sure.
simple.
Yeah, we're really looking at a 2-year time frame, and so the way the contract is for all of the pre-construction design development, and these are really the stages of it. So starting with schematic design, that's where we're at now. And then next year, we're looking at starting of design development, which is a much more refined, even more detailed design, interior, exterior. And then it gets even more detailed when we do the construction documents. And then once those happen and are approved, we'll go forward with the contractor will go forward with the building permit. And then we're looking at starting construction in the summer of 2026. So a year from now, and then 2027 is when we're looking at it being completed. And the goal is to construct both buildings at the same time. And you'll see that when Sarah goes through this. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so that is the project schedule. So I have a couple of slides with the project site. We're just to orient ourselves, the existing conditions. You all live in the neighborhood, you know this better than we do, but here's the school and the playground, the large park there to the back of it. And this is the school is planned to be demolished. Here's 92nd Avenue here with the church, St. Kevork across the street there. And we know there are a lot of trees on site that will need to be assessed by an arborist. We're going to try and keep, as many as we can, but I do think with some of the construction of sidewalks around this edge, some of those might need to be potentially removed. So more to come on that, but that's the existing site. And then what we're thinking for the proposed design here is leaving 1.3 acres, approximately about 1 acre of open space to the north there of this property, and then saving 2.5 acres to the west for a future development. And then really focusing our attention here in the southeast kind of side of the site. So our development right now consists of 2 buildings, building 1 to the south and building 2 kind of to the northeast. The site itself, this area here is about 2.2 acres of the total area. We're planning 112 stalls of parking, although that number might fluctuate depending on landscaping and that kind of thing. But that's right around 100 stalls is kind of our target. The goal is to set some of those stalls back into the site so that they're not fronting the street side. So you have a nicer view along that streetscape, a little bit of like a nicer sidewalk, walking path, that kind of thing. We are planning currently the driveway to the site entrance to be roughly in line with the street, kind of fronting it. I'm not sure what that street name is actually, but I'm sure you all do. But to align that drive aisle with that street is part of our plan. So building 1 is going to be about 30,000 square feet with withdrawal management, 16 beds of withdrawal management, 24 beds of residential treatment. And then building 2, currently the plan is about 20,000 square feet with 36 transitional housing beds. That includes also 2 floor manager studios, so folks who will be living on site and kind of managing the things around the property. And then also an outpatient component that might see up to 250 patients per quarter, so per 3-month period.
Many of those people will be from the recovery campus.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the plan is for the recovery campus to really have kind of a full spectrum of services. So the transitional housing is really a key component to that, where people can live there for a few months while they're staying sober, while they're going to outpatient treatment, and that all will be in building 2. And let's see, we wanted to touch on this trauma-informed design a little bit. We always design treatment centers. We've done a few now. Oh, Mike, go ahead. I see you have your hand up.
If you go back, yeah, to that slide, so in the middle, in between building 1 and 2, is that a gate or a fence, or a little bit to your left? Yeah, right, left.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, no gate right now. This is an open driveway. This is more of a kind of a raised pedestrian connection between building 1 and building 2. So all of the parking area is asphalt, and then this would be kind of more of a concrete path, so that if you're walking between building 1 and building 2, it feels more more pedestrian friendly.
And in general, this is going to be operating 24/7?
24/7, yes, that's the plan.
Okay, so where building 2, where the number 2 is towards the street, that's the back of the building, so there's no entrance, exit, anything on that side.
Correct.
Right now, we are planning a couple of entrances, but they're more not the main entry. Yeah, the main entries are planned for off the parking area.
What type of entry or exit are they going to be? Emergency exit or?
Yeah, they can be emergency exits. We haven't quite gotten to that level of detail in the planning. We will need probably at least 1 emergency exit on that side, but it might also be nice to have kind of a secondary entry on that side if folks are coming maybe to outpatient services by bus. But I think we can definitely have a conversation about that if that's an important point to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it would be, and if we could get input once you guys have a few options, it'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, so what's the, I guess, the underlying thought there, Mike, is, are you thinking you would not prefer an entry on the street side?
Yeah, so some of the concerns that, some of our parishioners have, and we have a Sunday school and potentially in the future Saturday school as well, would be the visibility, and everybody's got their phobias about it. If it's just the back of the building, there's no entrance, there's just, well, nothing to see here kind of thing, right? So just to get rid of some of the concerns, that might help.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, and I think, I think we'll look at that, first of all, in terms of building codes, in terms of where the emergency exits have to be. And, if there's a reason to put, exits on that side, what those would be. At this point, as Sarah said, we're just not that far into it, but,
Right.
thank you for raising that.
Mhm.
To dovetail what Mike S. is asking, where is staff parking envisioned?
Staff parking will be in that 112 stalls.
Okay.
So I don't think we have quite dedicated a zone for staff parking
Right.
yet, but they might at some point. But it'll all be in that area.
Okay, so the hope would be then, to Mike's commissioner's concerns, that there would be limited street parking, if any, because folks would be directed to park inside where the 100 spots are.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And
Mike, would that be helpful to your congregation?
Mike,
I
Ann,
think that was
talking
a
to you.
question for Mike. Mhm.
was that a question for me?
Well, yeah. So Mike, I was thinking about your concern. And if the staff parked in the main lot, and if there's limited parking on the street, would that be more comfortable for your congregation?
Yeah, it would.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the open space up top there, the 1.3 acres, is it just open space, or is it gonna be like a park with, I don't know, basketball courts, or? And is that gonna be maintained by the city, the county?
So thank you for that. The open space, when we're doing the rezoning, we have to have some open space, and that will be maintained by the county. And one of the conversations I want to have is with you all to say, what do we want? What do you want as neighbors of this complex and this campus? What would you like to see? I mean, we can go anything from just, mow and blow, all the way, do we want to bring in master gardeners and have a community garden? Do you want to have, a playground? What is it you would like to see? So that's really open for conversation. Melissa, you comment?
I think a concern that I would kind of share is having that kind of auxiliary exit on the building could potentially be a spot for loitering and hanging out. And I think that's kind of something that would want to be avoided. And then the open space also brings me to that same conclusion, like, is that going to be a spot that becomes a camping spot in the future? And what does open space and loitering and all those sorts of things, I think, is kind of a concern, I guess, for the neighborhood, is what I would say.
So currently, the property, about half of the property is zoned as open space today. And the other half of it's zoned as high density residential. So we have to keep some open space. The county owns that space. They will be continuing to monitor that. They, just like they do now before we put the fence up, even though they still monitor it every morning, they're going and all of the property that the county owns, they take a walk through all of it. So basically, I think the more that it's developed, the less it will be attractive to loitering. In other words, if there's a playground or there's a master gardening, I think you're going to have, because there's going to be more people interacting with that space as opposed to just having the space. But the county will continue to monitor regardless.
I just want to mention, if you haven't walked the property, there's some really nice playground equipment in the area of future development. And rather than getting that into a landfill, I'd love to see that moved over to the open space. It's in good shape.
So thanks for bringing that up. Interestingly, when the charter school moved, they asked us about that. And it appears the way that, and I was like, give it to them. I don't care. That's fine. Well, when our facility staff looked at it, that playground equipment is anchored in below the ground significantly. It would be huge. I mean, we're going to have to get rid of it, but it would be a huge task, and it's really old and not in great shape. But because I'd wanted to just give it away. So, but we'll look at it again when we have to dig it up. We'll definitely take another look at it. Thanks, Jennifer. That's, that's an idea that, now that we are going to dig it up, to see what it would take to replant it. Thank you. So, questions, comments about, there will be more detail about this in the meeting on the July 29th.
Can
But
you hear me?
Excuse me?
Oh, I was wondering if you could hear me.
Yes.
On the open space, my house is directly across the street from that. Are there going to be dedicated parking spots for that open space for people to park? If you're going to like do master gardening, that's going to draw in a lot of people that are going to park in front of our house and take up my property directly. And so we don't have a lot of parking in front of our house all the time. And if that's going to be open space, people are just going to start parking right in front of our house, blocking our driveway and stuff like that. So will there be dedicated spots for that?
Right now, Martin, it's a blank slate.
Okay.
And so I think we get to decide what it is we want and what we don't want. And that would be part of the conversation.
Thank you.
And so if any of you are interested in being part of that design conversation, please let me know. And because I will be pulling together a group with our facilities people and probably with Oregon State University Extension, who has the master gardeners. And again, it may not be something that we want. You may just want to be a playground. You may just want to have a basketball court, whatever it is. I think right now we're totally open.
Cindy, or I don't know if you or who or maybe Sarah. So the 2.5 acres of future development, is it? I mean, it seems like it kind of gets blocked off with the open space, but especially building 1 and 2. Does that kind of put us in a bad spot where it limits us what that future development can look like, because it would have to go through, where that driveway is and all the way through? Well, is there a reason to not put building 1 and 2 where the future development is and kind of flip it?
You can, this is Jill, and do you see the crosshatch area adjacent to the open space? There, yeah, so that would be that would be access to the future development. Depending on what it is, you could also access it through via the same access being used for building 1 or 2, but there is that option as well to create another access.
Yeah, the Tolbert Street, Martin might remember, he would know more, but it seems like it's not a huge street to have a lot of traffic going through there. To have the access through Tolbert Street might create a bottleneck as well.
It is a pretty busy street as it is now. It needs a lot of improvement. I think if they maybe widen it a little bit, it could probably handle some of that traffic to a certain extent up until the we build area starts.
Yeah, they'll be able to go through where the red hash area is and also where the blue arrow is. So they'll be able to go either way.
Yeah, so is there like a specific reason why not to flip that?
Sarah, I don't know, Jill.
I think that our thinking, we don't know what the use is for the future development. It could be permanent affordable housing. It could be some other use, additional treatment or transitional housing. We didn't really know. So we just felt like in terms of starting the development, it made more sense to start it more adjacent to the existing infrastructure, like public rights of ways and utilities, than to start it further away from all of those.
Well, in any case, it might limit options of what can be done in the future in this format. And it seems like area-wise, I'm assuming everything's drawn to scale. Area-wise, flipping it wouldn't make a big difference, but it would open up options of what can be done with that space, a lot more options.
We've looked at what, can be developed on that 2.5 acres. And we don't think it's limiting as it is. Like, we looked at putting some permanent housing there. We looked at putting additional treatment there, putting medical, some clinical space there. And I don't think we feel like it's limiting options as compared to if we put the current building 1 and building 2 and parking in that area and left the other part.
Yeah,
vacant.
just the entrance and the driveway and drive-through could be limiting factors. Either way, if you could keep that in your minds.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We meet every week and we'll bring it up.
Yeah.
Great. Other questions, comments?
I was curious to hear a little bit more about the desire to have like the back of the building facing 92nd, because I guess the more I think about it, well, from from a design perspective, there's some I guess I would frame it as there's some statistics, around like windows, having windows into like blank walls are never good in terms of promoting loitering and people doing things that you wouldn't want them to do. But if there are windows on a facade or even entries or, movement in and out of a building, you tend to have some better results in terms of, just keeping people moving and flowing. And so I was curious, the way we've been thinking about this building, we have building 2 fronting 92nd. We don't really want to turn our backs on 92nd because that could, I feel like that would maybe exacerbate some of the problems that we're worried about, or potentially, or it would just be harder to secure. Can we maybe talk a little bit more about that concern?
From my point, it would be the traffic going in and out, the
Mhm.
ambulances, if there's going to be police
Oh.
cars, loitering, somebody going out for a cigarette, those kinds of things, and then the visibility from, a lot of the folks are worried about the Sunday school and the kids and them seeing that because in a lot of people's minds, it's the worst, downtown Portland, now it's in front of my kids, that kind. So those would be.
Mm. Yeah, those are really fair concerns. I guess what I would say about that is the only program that really ever gets ambulances coming to it, and that is that is the withdrawal management program, and that one we've tucked away from the street as far as possible, basically. So it's, if you can see my mouse, my cursor here, it's on this side of the building. So if an ambulance is coming in, they're kind of coming in through the main drive, but then this is where they're stopping, so far away from that building.
Where are the people that come in at 7 a.m. to wait? Is that in building 1?
That would be the withdrawal management program. So that would be on this side too. So same thing, it kind of tucked that away from the street. And a lot of the thinking behind that was to keep the neighborhood a little more buffered from.
Well, the one thing that I was not thrilled with at the facility I visited was all the smokers outside the building. And so from my perspective, I'd rather have them on the inside where it's not as visible.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Jennifer, those were the folks who are waiting for withdrawal management treatment?
No, it was people on breaks, and it was, I don't actually know, but it was not early morning, it was middle of the day. And there were probably 20 easily 20 people outside smoking.
Yeah, I think that's people on breaks, Sarah, who are, who are
Oh,
coming
interesting.
outside. And for some, and maybe they're not, I'm just wondering, yeah, we got to think through that, just where people are gonna
Yeah.
smoke and how because we have to be realistic that people are going to, and how we encourage them to be where we'd like them to be and not where we wouldn't like them to
Right,
be.
right.
And the people that come in from the ambulance, they're not coming in with lights and sirens.
Right.
So yeah, Mike, see.
When we visited Rock Creek, one of the things we learned there was that no one shows up at Rock Creek without an appointment.
What's Rock Creek?
I'm sorry, whatever the other facility was.
Oh, Cherry Blossom?
Cherry Blossom.
Yeah.
Sorry. The people don't show up there unless they have an appointment. And by having appointments, and you manage traffic flow. That's my point.
Thank
So
you.
if this facility has the same protocol as Cherry Blossom, that it's by appointment only, with rare exceptions, then I think you can better manage traffic. That's it.
Thank you. Melissa.
Speaking of the smoke breaks, that sort of stuff, my concern is building 1 where the courtyard is facing, that's people's backyards. So down below building 1. So that's going to affect people that live. Those are residential houses that that courtyard faces. So they're going to potentially have smokers and loud conversations in their backyard. So just a concern that I see, and when I'm looking at a aerial view on, Google Street Views, you can see it's basically those will be right in people's backyards, residential houses. So concern.
Got it.
And also the same on the open space area. The smokers are going to definitely gravitate to that because there's just an open field there, or a field and benches and stuff. So they're all going to gravitate to that side of the facility too. So it'd be nice to have the smoking inside the facility in that area where they haven't developed yet.
So I think the buildings will definitely be non-smoking. That's a requirement. And then I think what you saw maybe at Cherry Blossom, because people aren't allowed to smoke in the courtyard, you saw people going out in essentially like the rights of way. And so I think what we're going to need to think about here is how do we perhaps provide an outdoor space that's internal to the development, like so it's not an indoor space, but maybe it's covered and it's specifically a place we're providing so that it is where the easiest place for people to go to smoke is kind of what I think the solution is, if that's something we're allowed to do, Sarah, just based on the way, requirements of the facilities. But that's what I would suggest would be a good solution.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely have to talk to Fora about it. I do think a dedicated outdoor smoking area might be the way to go, and we kind of tuck it into the site away from the street side.
Exactly. I mean, obviously we can't prevent people from going in public rights of way and being there, but we can do everything we can to provide, to make it most convenient to use something that we provide as part of the site away from the rights of way.
I would say the same thing and make it easy for both people accessing it that are in building 1 or building 2, that it is convenient for all of them, because that was kind of the concern when I talked about having an exit out of building 2 onto 92nd, is that if someone's going to go out for a smoke break, they're going to go right out there because then they're instantly on a public right of way. So then they can smoke wherever they want. Whereas if you put it in a good location for both buildings, it's going to encourage them to go out together. Because everybody that I know that's been in recovery are smokers. So it's very common because they don't want to give up. They want to give up the worst vice possible, and that's usually what they're there for. And then smoking is the last vice they end up giving up. So I would strongly encourage, like you said, an outdoor space that is dedicated for smoking that's easy accessible from both building 1 and building 2.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? So can I assume that everyone on this group would like to engage in the conversation about the open space? Is that a good assumption? Okay, okay. And what I think we'll do, I'll talk to our facilities folks. I'm going to talk to the FORA team about that. What I asked facilities to tell me is what are some things that can't be there, so we kind of know what our parameters are. And then we can start having that discussion. I mean, the issue is going to be not just investing in developing that space, but maintaining it. We don't want something that's going to, you know, get overgrown in a bad shape. And then what kind of engagement does the community want to have and responsibility? You know, if we want this to be a joint community garden, then, you know, what can we rely on people to do? I think that's going to be part of the conversation. But as I said, it is a blank slate right now, and we don't have any, you know, preconceived notions on it. The other thing we have been talking about is fencing. As you all know, the fence is up around the area now. And we've talked about once the buildings are operational, you know, if and where and when there should be fencing. So that would be a conversation in the future. And then
Fencing around the building, or what do you mean fencing?
well, just fence, I'm pointing like you can see me. How much of the space would be fenced?
Like you mean off of 92nd or
Yeah,
off 92nd and then around?
yeah. And so are we gonna have a fence between the open space and the building too? You know, are we gonna have a fence on 92nd? We haven't, those discussions haven't been, we haven't had those.
Hmm.
And then for the future development, I think, you know, as I said, the meeting is going to be on the 29th. I think the board is going to be talking about, you know, housing. Should it just be pure housing? Should it be additional treatment space? Should it be a combination of both of those? So and I don't know, I've just heard that they want to talk about it. And so I'll try to help facilitate that conversation. But again, I don't believe there's going to be anything final. I think it's going to be in stages. I'll probably come up with some ideas that staff will need to research and come back. So it won't be like the 29th is going to be the final decision. I would be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, and Cindy, were those the only slides in that presentation? It seems like we kind of went with.
Oh yeah, you want to go back to the last one about the trauma? Sorry.
And yeah, we had a lot of Q&A, so I don't think the presentation got fully done.
Yeah, I absolutely can. Let's see, you can all still see my screen?
No.
No.
And can we get this presentation emailed to us?
Yeah. Yes.
Can do that for sure.
Yes. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I think this was the last thing. Oh yeah, almost the last thing. There were just two more slides. So we had one was about trauma-informed design and kind of the importance of it in treatment centers. So we Holst Architecture has designed a few treatment centers now with these 6 core principles in mind. And you know, a lot of the need for trauma-informed design comes from the folks who are coming in for treatment are often coming from some pretty rough conditions. Maybe they're veterans, maybe they're homeless at admission, maybe there's a mental health diagnosis like anxiety or depression, something like that. And so our goal with these trauma-informed design principles is to reduce stressors and foster well-being and really create a space where people can get sober, but also thrive. And so these are the 6 core principles that we usually work within. So I can explain them in a lot of depth, but I think today I'll just kind of cover the basics. So comfort, safety, and de-escalation, those are all about reducing stressors in the environment. So comfort might be, play a role in furniture selection and comfortable furniture, but also lighting and how the mechanical systems work in the space and that kind of thing. Safety is really about creating a space that is physically safe, yes, but also creating space of psychological safety. So we're thinking about sight lines into spaces. We're thinking about visibility, and we're also balancing privacy. But for this one, we try to create very open spaces where people can kind of be observed and observe each other, and everybody be responsible for keeping that space safe. And then de-escalation, that one's really about providing space for people to go and decompress, like quiet rooms, but also avoiding crowding. So the buildings kind of get a little bit bigger in order to promote this principle. So those are about the, reducing stressors in the environment, and then coherency, nature, and empowerment. Those three are about fostering well-being. So coherency is about creating space that people can really understand and have a mind map of, and in that way, thinking about wayfinding, thinking about where our entries are, having a space that you can really feel is your own. The first step is that it feels cohesive. So that's one. Nature is the other. We always try to integrate nature, natural materials, daylight, natural imagery. And to that end, we have this big courtyard for building 1. We have a smaller courtyard for building 2. We're always thinking about how we can get views out into it and orient. For example, the sleeping rooms all are oriented out towards the courtyard. We're planting with therapy gardens, and we'll have some native plantings in there. There's also a plan for a half-court basketball court in the courtyard. So really being able to have spaces that people can access that are natural. And then the empowerment is about getting people to feel like they have control over their surroundings. So that kind of plays into simple things like dimming switches and room temp controls, also operable windows, movable furniture, that kind of thing. So those are some of the core principles that we use when we are designing the space, interior and exterior, and also just thinking about the site as a whole. And then our last slide here was about some of the amenities that we had planned for the site. The courtyards are a big one.
Excuse me, we only have a couple of minutes left, Sarah. Just have a couple of minutes left, so go ahead. Sorry.
I'll be quick. Oh yeah, sure. I can just run through these. So the courtyard is a big one. The art room, fitness room. We'll have that basketball half court. Then we'll have some family visit spaces inside, group meeting rooms, a couple of outdoor patios, but just looking out into the courtyard, and then garden beds also in that courtyard. So those are just some of the things that we've talked about for the site, and that's the whole presentation.
And I will send it to all of you. Don't worry about that. But you can see a lot of the information, the principles that Sarah was talking about, embedded into cherry blossoms. So you know that kind of vision and that kind of lighting and just the openness and the atmosphere is really what we're looking for, just on a smaller scale. So I'm going to send you this. I'm going to send you the information about meetings and contacting the commissioners. And then I will chat with facilities, and we can talk about kind of next steps around the open space and what we need to do and bring that back to you.
Can do that meeting on the 29th. What time is that?
It'll be 1:30.
1:30. Okay.
I'll send you that in the information as well. Do you have other questions of Sarah or Jill, anybody?
I think it's a very nice start. I think you've done a good job. You captured cherry blossom. You have concern. You've heard concerns from the neighborhood about things. You did not say this is it. This is all it's going to be, but you've been open to questions and ideas and feedback today. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
I wonder if it might be, I know I've only got a minute, but it might be a good time to bring in the neighborhood community for a little more input on the open space.
So, how would we do that, Jennifer? Give me.
Well, I was thinking like the initial meeting we had at the school. I don't know if there'd be interest. Some of the people that live in the neighborhood maybe have a better idea, but I don't have a good sense of if it's mostly adults, if it's families. I mean, it kind of determines how it's going to be used, is the kind of neighborhood it is. And I don't have a sense of that right now.
I think that's a great idea, because we want this open space to really be the space for the community.
Exactly.
And so, what we can, we could send out an invite to folks, or if you all could give me names of people. I just don't know what the best is, because we don't, can we take down the slideshow? Great. Thank you. Yeah. We don't have a good sense. We're just kind of looking at addresses and sending some of them out. But if there's a better way to do that, that would be great.
Yeah, I just think it would be really nice if it's a bunch of young children. That's a
Right.
whole different thing than a bunch of adults
Yeah.
in the community. I just don't know.
Martin, you have a sense of that, and Mike, since you're there.
We've seen a few people walking their dogs. There are a few kids that play in the field right across our street, but it's hard to say. I'm not sure what the makeup of the community is, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. Well, I do think we should be able to cast a wider net. That would be helpful. If you all have ideas or names or addresses or whatever, please send them my way as well, and we'll make sure to include them, and then we'll figure out a way to cast that wider net.
Great, thank you.
I almost feel like there could be like a flyer that could just be walked around the neighborhood and knocked on doors, it slid in put on some windows, or, on cars. Cause, I know just right around our business, there's a lot of commuter cars, people that come, drop their car and then go to work. But then there's the apartments and, some of the townhouses that are kind of, there's quite a few people, and I see little kids riding their bikes across in front of my office, because our street is a little, less busy. And I know that there isn't that space. So there are definitely working families that live in this neighborhood. So I think, quite honestly, that don't maybe have, I mean, I don't know, I'd say that it would need to be bilingual.
Yeah.
And then it would need they probably don't have email. Some people don't have email, or just literally a flyer that's stuck in a door that says, hey, this is what's happening. If you want to come to a meeting, meet us at the Clackamas grade school, or and at this time, so we can discuss future needs for this, or comment here, or whatever.
Okay, good idea. Good idea. That's great. Other questions, comments? And we are going to be working on the Good Neighbor Agreement as well. That's Devarshi's been ill, so Devarshi, who you met before. So, but I know that he's going to want to have that conversation with you, and I'll figure out if it's the next meeting or what we can do. Send you some information ahead of time, or some samples of Good Neighbor Agreements, or so you can start thinking about what you'd like to see in that as well. But the good news is we have a little bit of time, but it is something we want to make sure stays on the front burner. With that, we're over our time. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here, and I will send this information out to you.
Thank you, everybody.
All of us done.
Thanks all.
Thank you
Nice to
all.
see you
Great
again.
group.